I wanted to talk to y'all tonight because it feels like in the energy of these days, s- things are challenging and we're shifting. And the things that used to work for us sometimes are not working anymore. And if you haven't gotten to the point where you're more gentle with yourself, when things start going like this, sometimes our self-talk, our self-confidence, and our self-compassion start to go like this too. And it's oftentimes easier to be gentle with other people, and we forget to be very gentle with ourselves. So I just wanted to offer the opportunity to talk to y'all about what works for me. I used to really work hard on self-talk and thought that I was pretty good at it. Actually, I was pretty good at it. But there's a big difference between pretty good at it and actually embodying it, right? There's that big difference of when you're faking it till you make it sort of thing. And I don't have it perfect yet, but how I feel about me has drastically changed. And I had a big aha awareness that made all the difference. And so I just wanted to share it with y'all. And I hope that your life is very easy and smooth right now, but if you're anything like the rest of us, it might not be. So this is all about how to love yourself. That always sounds great. People make it sound so easy. They say things like, once you love yourself, you can love other people, and just love yourself, be kind to yourself. How the heck do you actually do that? What does that even look like? There's it just looks like other people seem to get it and I didn't quite get it. But of course that was just a story I told myself in my head. I used to practice affirmations. I used to practice telling myself that I could do it, and I still do that. But there was a moment that I understood that I was not this human. Now we've all heard that 100 times, right? We've all heard you're not a human, you're a soul having a human experience, all these different kinds of things. But it never really occurred to me what that meant until it did. And then once you see it, you can't unsee. Do you all know what I'm talking about? Do y'all have good self-talk? Do you practice being kind to yourselves? When you're in that moment and you're going, oh my gosh, I can't believe or you should be better at fill in your own blank. I know you all do it. When you're in that, do you stop and say, hey, wait a minute, let's rewind? That's what I did. And it was great and it was good, but this is even bigger. I had this awareness that this was actually this big partnership, right? Between the human and my soul. And once I really got it, I started to look at myself with the same love and compassion that I look at all my girlfriends. So easy for me to be compassionate with other people. Maybe y'all have that experience too, but when it came to me, I held myself at a different level. I had different expectations for me. And that made my life really hard, much harder than it needed to be. And there was just a day that God, spirit, source, pick a word, said, you are not any different than all those other people, women, souls, humans that you love. Stop being harder on you. It's not okay. That was a pretty big aha moment because I have all sorts of compassion and grace and patience for anybody else. But when it came to me, it was, you should know better. You should do better. You need to be the model. You should live up to whatever. You should try harder. You should go further. You should show up for people more. All the stories. So what happened was I really recognized the importance of the human that I'm partnered with. I recognized that I am a soul. I am this awareness. I am this consciousness that has a life beyond this human life. But this human, this is her life. This is it. She's not going to make it out alive. She's the one that brought other life in here. She's the one that my soul gets this experience through. She's the one that, God bless her, she's the one that feels, literally feels all the pain. She's the one that hugs, and she's the one that cries, and she's the one that hurts, and she's the one that sometimes feels sick and sometimes exhausts herself, but is the one that I, as a soul, get to experience this human life through. And in that moment, I loved her. In that moment, it became impossible not to love her. And I felt guilty. I felt sadness. I felt heaviness and regret over how, as a soul, I had not shown up for my human friend. I had let her struggle on her own. When what I, for me, for myself, the awareness came that my human has a conversation with my soul all the time. That for me, that internal conversation was actually my soul and my soul and my brain, right? In that partnership, talking back and forth. And when my human was really struggling, when my human was in the pit, when my human was sad or experiencing grief and loss, and if some of y'all know me and I've had a fairly significant bout of that, but when my human was experiencing those things, as her soul, I would just let her struggle. I didn't have the awareness yet that I could change the conversation, right? Because pick a person, you don't even have to know them. You would not let them wallow around in the pit of despair and not try to lift them up. You wouldn't. But as my soul and human, I didn't have that awareness yet. And sweet little human, she just wallowed around in the pit by herself without the benefit of my soul and my wisdom and my infinite compassion that we come in with as souls to help lift her out of that. Self talk is exactly that. So stop what's happening. Friend your human, because no one, no opportunity, no being can speak to your human more often than your soul. You get to do it the whole life that this little bugger has. You get to friend her. So when I would be saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe or oh my gosh, this is so hard. This is so awful. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I started interjecting and talking to my human as if they were my inner child. That whole conversation that we've all heard too, speak to your inner child, speak to your young self. I started connecting the two together as my human that has only had this one experience, will only have this one experience. They can't have infinite wisdom, right? They can't be getting it from doing it again and again. This is it. So your brain has its own program. Your brain and your body have your own life, but you are a soul that is bigger. So treat your human like your friend. It helped me love her. I'd never been able to look in the mirror and do what my therapist told me to do, which was say, I love you, or say something really nice and mean it or not feel silly. Your butt looks great in those jeans. But, or you're smart, you're pretty, I'm proud of you. I could never say those things to me before. But once I realized that this human, this sweet being, has partnered with my soul and said yes to this partnership for her entire life, her only life. Once I realized that, I saw her as the best human friend on this planet that I will ever have. And so, how could you not be nice to her, right? If you had another friend that showed up for you the way the one you're partnered with, your soul lives inside of, if you had another friend on this planet that showed up for you like that, how could you possibly be anything but kind and gentle and lovely to them? It changed everything for me. Suddenly, I could look her in the mirror and I could say, look her in the eye and say, proud of you. You're doing a good job. It may not be perfect, but it never is. You are busting your tail and I see it, and you're doing a good job. You're a good person. It changed how I speak to myself. And I want to invite y'all to change how you speak to yourselves. So, where do we go from here, right? So, from here, we have the opportunity to practice. So, next time you are feeling whatever, or you start to get into that cycle of maybe not even negative self talk, but maybe it's just not uplifting, or maybe you're feeling, you know, left out or not seen, or just feeling like you're in it. Those are the moments. It's that moment that you have the opportunity to show up as your soul for your human friend and talk them through it. A lot of you, probably like me, have girlfriends that when things are going sideways, you call them and you say, "Oh my gosh, you can do that in your head." Not that you shouldn't call that girlfriend, because you should. She keeps you sane. But you can also start that conversation inside of yourself, and it makes a huge difference in how you experience life. It really increases your opportunity to have happiness. Let's take this into daily practice, right? Can you anticipate shifting your internal conversation, or maybe it's even shifting your internal activities? Because when I had this awareness, some of the things that shifted for me were, this is probably TMI, but this is the transparent chick I am. Welcome. I stopped and went and peed more often because the story in my head was I could always wait. I could always do one more thing. I could always get a little further on the list and not eat, or not go get a drink, or take a break, or go pee. But I would never expect that of anybody else, right? Somebody said I need to pee, by God, we'd be peeing. Driving down the road on a road trip, I would just only allow myself to take a piddle break when I got gas. That's ridiculous. And that's not a good way to support your human friend. This is maybe not the best analogy, but I'm going to use it anyway because for me, it's true. I have pets and I am so good to them. I am so good to them. If they tell me they're hungry, I feed them. They tell me they need to go outside, we're going outside. It doesn't really matter what I'm doing. If they really told me right now that they needed to go outside and started doing the potty dance, I would tell y'all I'll be right back, because they're my babies and they have to do the things that they have to do, but I would not allow myself those same things. And when I had this awareness, I started treating her differently. And it was big. It was really big. It made me more gentle with me. I wouldn't give myself a hard time about being tired or being cranky or whatever was going on inside of here. I just had more compassion for it. What are you thinking right now are ways that you can nurture and be kinder and more gentle with your human friend? The other thing I had was I had self body image stuff, right? I don't know if maybe, I hope y'all don't ever have any of that nonsense, that silly self-talk in there. But I just stopped and just started telling her that she was perfect just the way she was. That new wrinkle, those bags under her eyes because she's been going 24/7 at 100 miles an hour for 10 weeks straight. So what? So what that her skin was dry and she was on another live video looking the story in her head was that she was looking tired and old and all those things, but so what? She's doing it. And it just changes my experience of life and days. So when I had this awareness and when I started practicing these things and I started having these different conversations inside of my head, it takes some practice because we're used to just going on the regular loop. But once you start shifting it, it really changes your experience of your life because you want all the best things for your girlfriends or your kids or your relatives or your friends, even heck, everybody. I just want the bestness for everybody. And there's not a single reason that somebody could come up with that I would believe that they didn't deserve joy, that they didn't deserve the best possible life out there for themselves. So why wouldn't I want that for this one? Why wouldn't it be okay for this one? Why would I hold back permission for this one? And so I stopped. I stopped holding it back. I stopped letting her say, no, not me, and started saying, yes, you get out there. You can do it. So what if you screw it up? So what if it's messy? So what if your hair's not perfect and your chin is seeming to fall? So what? So what if you don't know anything about whatever topic that you're jumping into? You can do this. It changed how I live. It changed my experience of life in general. It gave us, my soul, and my little human, the opportunity to have a better life, to experience a life that she loves. Doesn't mean it's always easy, doesn't mean it's not fraught with hurdles and obstacles and puzzle pieces, but I love this life. I love this life. And since I had this awareness that this is my human's life that my soul rides shotgun on, my soul has become a cheerleading bugger. I was going to say a different word, but I put my filter on. My soul has become my human's biggest fan and biggest support. And it's changed everything. And I want to encourage y'all to do the same. We do it for each other all day, every day. We believe in each other. Believe in you. Give the opportunity to you. Make it happen for you. It doesn't mean that you don't do it for everybody else. It just means you get you on the list. You don't have to shove everybody else off the list. You just have to get you on it because it's okay, because it's appropriate. And if we don't do this, then what are we modeling for each other? We're modeling that we encourage everybody else, we show up for everybody else, we do amazing things for everybody else, but at the cost of ourselves. And that's not what we want for our kids. That's not what we want for our friends. That's not what we want for the other people we love. We want them to have those things too. But if we never model it, then what we're saying is, this is okay for you, but never okay for me. And that's what we teach each other. And that is not okay. It is not okay. It is not a competition of who can give enough of their soul away or their life away to lift other people up. We can have it all. We can have it all. I love all y'all. I believe in all y'all. And I believe in this one too. Thank you for coming and listening to me go on and on about how this different perspective changed my life. I really hope that you have the opportunity for it to change yours too. You deserve that. You, not just that you deserve it, but it's your birthright. It's yours. It's yours to do. It's yours to give yourself. It's one of the biggest gifts you can ever give yourself is the self-love aspect. And this awareness was the thing that made it possible for me. 10 years of affirmations, lots of counseling, all the things, right? Lots of meditation, all the things. But at the end of the day, what worked for me was to literally see this being, this body, as exactly the same as all my other friends and treat her as such. And I hope that works for y'all. I hope it makes a difference for you. And if it doesn't, keep looking. You're going to find the one that does. But I really hope that you can love yourself more this evening and tomorrow and the next day, and give yourself permission to live in joy and gentleness. I'm giving you a big hug.